We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
Welcome to the RedAssPodcast, your home for Aggie sports, barbecue, music, and much more. And now your hosts, Rob White and Roy May.
Howdy, guys. Welcome back to the RedAssPodcast. Today is Thursday, February 20th, and it is a cold one out there. Don't forget your booties.
Don't forget your booties because it's cold outside. Cold out there every day. I think this is Miami Beach.
But it's certainly not Groundhog Day. We've already passed that one.
And if for some reason you don't know that reference, you absolutely have to go watch Groundhog Day with Bill Murray.
100% you need to do that. I am Rob White, fighting Texas A class of 2014.
I am Roy May, a little bit sniffly and congested, but I feel fine fighting Texas A class 2015.
And yeah, we had plenty to get into this week. It was a very action-packed week. Previous weekend coming into this week of sports, minus one, of course, with baseball canceling on Tuesday. And of course, they canceled that one pretty early. But considering what the weather was going to be coming in with the rain and the wind, I don't necessarily blame them.
Yeah, this weather's miserable, right? I was watching KBTX and they like flashed a graphic, and I think for tonight it's literally they wrote dangerously cold. But what is that? Like, my father-in-law up in Wisconsin woke up yesterday morning and it was minus 17. And I've said this before, minus 17 is not a temperature. That means that the earth is stealing 17 degrees from you because you can't go less than zero. It's miserable. Why on earth would you live in the Dakotas or like in the middle of the wilderness in Wisconsin? Like, I get that the summers are in the 60s and beautiful, but you're talking about minus 20 and below wind chill. Like, what are you doing, man?
Well, it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes of all time. It goes back to Ron White. He was, I guess, up in Connecticut somewhere doing a show, and he takes his dogs out for a walk. And right before he did, he looks at the temperature, and it says 0, right? Well, he's getting ready to take these dogs out, and his wife's sitting on the bus, and she says, "What's the temperature outside?" He goes, "There's not one.
Not one. Yeah.
This place doesn't seem to have a temperature."
Yeah, so brutally cold. I hope everybody's staying warm, and I hope you've been dripping your pipes and probably do it again tonight if
Yeah.
you're basically anywhere here or north of me. If you're just working on latitudes. Uh, so yeah, it's super cold weather. Force a baseball game, to move up 2 hours. It's that kind of cold. Thankfully, softball is back in Florida this week.
Yeah.
Um, and I saw something on the baseball softball forum on TexAgs. Somebody talked about like apparently the new composite bats have issues under a certain temperature, and it's only like I was like 60 something, 60, 65 degrees, something like that. It was like, yeah, so like it's an issue. Um, like because obviously the ball's harder. It's like when
Right.
you go to play. So if you're not a golfer, so just real quickly. So generally the standard compression for your average golfer is a 90 compression golf ball for male golfers. And when it's really hot outside, or you're just a really good golfer and you have a really big swing speed, you do 100 compression balls, right?
Yeah.
Because you have the power to compress the ball. 100 compression means it takes more to compress the ball, hence
Right.
physics, right? But I know a lot of scratch or close to scratch golfers, like index in the threes kind of guys, that they would play in the cold, which I absolutely hate. But they would play in the cold. I'd play with them, and they would play women's golf balls because they were 80 compression balls. So it's like if you've ever played baseball or softball or even like beer league softball in the winter, or you're a golfer just at the range and you don't catch it right, and like the whole barrel or the shaft rattles and you just feel it in your soul.
Mm.
Um, the problem is they don't have different compression baseballs or softballs. At least they're not supposed to.
Right.
So, um, so it's an issue with the bats, I guess. There's a thread in the baseball and softball forum on TexAgs is free, so you can go check it out anytime you want to. There was a thread some dude put out. I just thought it was really kind of interesting. Um, just relative to you don't think about that, because obviously the bats are different in barrel size, but sometimes you don't always think about how, with softball being a straight barrel as opposed to baseball being kind of a ballooning barrel, it
Mhm.
is a nice way to put it. Um, or at least an understandable way to put it. I don't know. They call it blue, whatever. Just stay with me, Jimbo. Um, but it's but the ball can't change compression. They can't use different balls. Like the ball is the ball for the whole year, unless you're the New England Patriots. So yeah, it's not too soon. And so
No,
I kind of thought that was just interesting because I'm kind of a science nerd. And I saw something the other day. Speaking of that, remember the show Sports Science?
I remember Sports Science. Yeah,
Yeah, bring that back.
it was good. It was a good show. I
Bring
enjoyed
that back. I will be the first to sign that petition.
Yeah, I think it's a solid show. I wanted to dive in first and foremost, dive into basketball, both men and women, because there's plenty to chat on both fronts. But for
Let me women's basketball. Koulibaly went out. They haven't won since. We're good with women's basketball. It's unfortunate we don't have anything to talk about, but quite frankly, Koulibaly went out and they haven't won since. There's not much to talk about women's basketball.
no,
It's an unfortunate season. You got to have more than one superstar kind of thing. You look at obviously, we're not South Carolina, we're not Don Staley, but like you got to have more than one person drive the bus. And we saw this with men's, when Wade Taylor had to do everything.
right.
So unfortunately, we're just going to shelf that. So like we can move on to men's basketball.
Yeah, so with men, obviously, we take care of our business against Arkansas over the weekend. In what we got absolutely ridiculed for those uniforms that we were wearing, and I don't blame them. I understand what Adidas was trying to go for with those, but just not great execution. Did not like the look of those.
So here's my hot take, and it's about the most tepid hot take you'll find. I just don't care.
I know you don't care, but
It's like we
some of us
won.
do.
like we won, right?
We did win.
Now, I did see the one breakdown between like wearing it with an undershirt and without an undershirt. I liked it with the undershirt. I
I
did.
agree.
Um, but outside of that, the T could have been bigger. Like that's my thing. It's like
Right. Just
we should like if we're gonna do something obnoxious, like bro, jump into the deep end, no waiters, just off you go.
yeah. I
Or,
completely agree with you.
water wings.
Yeah.
I used to call them floaties. That'll be an interesting one. By the way, if you're actually listening to this, comment below whether you grew up calling them floaties or water wings.
Yeah,
I
we
hadn't heard water wings until I was like 19 or 20.
Yeah, I always heard floaties. That was normal for us. So
Yeah.
per usual. So you take care of your business against Arkansas, and then you turn around and go on the road to Mississippi State. And we talked about it over the weekend. This was not going to be an easy win to try to accomplish, and it certainly wasn't because we did not win. In fact, Mississippi State largely started pulling away in the second half, and it just felt like we were well out of it.
Well, it's a top 25 team too, and you're on the road. And so like a couple of things. One, no game in the SEC is easy. And if anybody was penciling in Mississippi State, like you're insane because it's top 25. I
Well,
mean,
and they were
Vanderbilt
ranked.
had Kentucky last night. Vanderbilt had Kentucky. They were down by one at the half. Now Kentucky ended up blowing their doors off,
Yeah.
but like this league is just different, and everybody across the nation. This isn't us saying this. This isn't SEC bias. This is a reality that everyone across the nation is saying this may be the best conference that's ever been assembled for talent and quality of depth and teams ever in the history of college basketball.
Yeah.
So, but you're on the road in a top 25 matchup. And to me, the difference in the game was Mississippi State beating us at our own game. And it was a ton of hustle. We didn't get like we missed shots. I mean, we always miss shots, but we get rebounds. But we didn't in this one, right? That was the biggest issue is that, the second chance points, dominating somebody on the glass, like that didn't happen for us this game. So Mississippi State was able to do this. I said this on the radio this morning. If I was a Mississippi State coach or any of the fans,
Yeah.
my first question would be, where the hell has this effort been all year? And don't get me wrong, Mississippi State's a really good team,
They
but
are.
I haven't seen them. I've seen them play a couple times. I haven't seen them play like that.
Yeah, and they did really well in the defensive rebound world, right? Which is typically where our strength has been the second half points with the offensive rebounds, no question.
Absolute offensive glass.
Right, that's been excellent for us. But yeah, State, I mean, defensively, they got 26 of those rebounds, which that's tough, especially on their defensive side. Balls that we've typically gotten that did not work out for us in this game. It just didn't.
It's not even it's and that's the thing though. It's not that it didn't work out. It's They literally out hustled us,
They
and
did.
I didn't think that was possible. And I don't think it was for lack of effort. They were at a whole nother level of effort um, this past week. So it's on what was it Tuesday night?
Mm.
So it was a, kudos to Mississippi State. On the road, they know that we're coming in, and apparently we're so good that it warrants storming the court, which is crazy because they're a top 25 team. But it was I will give them the sense that like in the manner they beat us, in the sense that they beat us at our own game, like you can do nothing but tip your cap to Mississippi State. That
For
was
sure.
a fantastic game plan. And they found a way for like four whole quarters, like four full quarters to beat us at our own game. Because there have been spurts, obviously, throughout the entire season where there have been times where teams, like, for some reason, have this energy, they'll pick it up and they'll try and beat us at our own game, and they do, but they can't sustain it. Mississippi State did it for four quarters.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a great job. They really did. They dominated all phases of the game, largely looked really good. And really that just gives A&M now time to reset, refocus, and get set for what is going to be a very big matchup coming up at Reed this weekend.
Well, and that's one nice thing is, we have the Tuesday, Saturday split as opposed to the Wednesday, Saturday split.
Right.
So we do get an extra day in there. Um, and remember, this is now game four of the 5 game stretch that was four at home, right? Because we talked all about the four away and one at home stretch. This is the flip side of that, right?
Right.
But in this one, we had Mississippi State on the road. We got number 6 Tennessee at home. Right now, you're sitting at 2-1 in the 5 game stretch. Despite what all the rankings tell you, or rankings, excuse me, metrics tell you, I think like the eye test to me says we match up very well with Tennessee.
And yeah, I mean, even looking at the numbers, they do line up fairly well. I mean, if you look at metrics, if you look at the fact that one, it's obviously at home, two, that certainly helps.
Oh no,
But
I'm talking like Ken Palm metrics. Like
right,
Tennessee, amazing. Like you look at those metrics and you don't understand how they're not a 1 seed. But
right,
that's again why we don't play the game on paper.
right.
But great opportunity, absolute shit tip time, man. 11 a.m. Come on, man. This is a top 10 matchup. We get 11 a.m. tip. Like
Yeah.
coming off of exam week, and we're having like the polar vortex basically. What's going on, man?
Now,
But
if there is a positive to it, Buzz has said time and time again he does prefer those early starts.
well, it's that plus the fact I have full faith in the 12th man wanting to blow off so much steam coming off of exam week. Like, get up early, go to a game, and then go get hammered the rest of the day. Because I know it's what you're going to do anyways. So just get up, go to the game. It's blackout read, right? We've done this before with Tennessee, and we beat them when we did it. So it's blackout read. Just massive, massive implications, but it neither makes nor breaks your season.
No,
If
that's the beauty of our situation right now.
if we lost out like a 5 seed at worst, like, and I'm talking about like we don't win another game, lost out.
Which likely won't happen.
Oh, it absolutely won't happen. I really like our chances because of the matchup from what I see with my eyes, as opposed to like Ken Palm and all that stuff. I love the Tennessee game. Um, I love the Vandy game because it's back at home. And then we'll just run through the schedule quick, but we'll obviously talk more about it as it's closer. But on the
Right.
road to Florida, that's a monster task. That is a monstrous task. And then your last home game is against number one.
Yep.
Um, so then your only hope is that no matter win or lose, there's not some sort of like just it took so much emotional and physical energy in the Auburn game on senior night and blah 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 that you don't go to Baton Rouge and lay an egg. But again, we're
Anything's possible.
in, and I think absolute worst case, if we were to lose out and the committee hates us, we're a 5 seed.
Right. So I
I
mean,
think a 4 seed's a lock.
I would say probably at this stage. And if you do well on this back stretch, I mean, you're really helping your chances to even advance higher because a lot of people
Well,
have already said that this Mississippi State loss, in terms of our metrics, should not hurt us, especially if we continue to do what we've been doing.
it was like the most minor of dings because you lost on the road to a top 25 team. Here,
Right.
we'll go through it real quick, just kind of just curious about this. Tennessee, win or lose?
I mean, I like our chance to win, especially with
All
it
right.
being at home at 11 a.m. Yeah.
I honestly think we win Tennessee.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, I think we win.
Yeah.
Florida, I think we lose.
Yeah.
Auburn, honestly, I hate it, but I think we lose.
Yeah.
And then I think we win in Baton Rouge to end the season.
Yeah. And I still think that's good enough to position us at this point for, 2 seeds in or low, maybe 3, if we do finish that out.
No, if that's how we finish, I still think we're a 2.
That's what I'm saying. Like I said, I think we're still strong for a 2 there.
But the committee hates us, so we're a 3. Here's an interesting point that came up this morning on the fan show, though. If we win out, are we a 1 seed?
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, you are beating if you do that, right? On
Yeah,
paper.
no.
Let's say if
Assuming
you
we
do that
win
on
out.
paper, you've just beaten number 6, who is right ahead of you. You beat number 2 on the road, and then you take down number 1. Like if you do beat those 3 teams, who can argue that you're not a 1 seed?
How can you not?
You can't argue that, but that's all hypothetical. You've got to win those games.
No,
But
but I thought it was a fun
yeah,
hypothetical.
it is a
Like
hypothetical, but
if
it's
you win
realistic.
out,
Yeah, it's realistic. I think.
we're a 1 seed.
Yeah. Yeah. And said you're one of the top 4. You were expected, which is honestly great because anything that we can do to not get locked up with another one before the Final Four, I'm not crying about it. That's certainly something that would worry me in the tournament. Let's say we get stuck in a bracket and we're with Auburn or we're with, Florida or with, whoever else at that point that's in that top 4 at the end of the season. Don't want those, but if you are positioned in the place where you are a 1 seed, that's nothing that you have to worry about, at least until later. You just got to do your job before then.
Here's what I think are the 3 locks as 1 seeds, though. Period. Like barring an absolute meltdown, and when you're vying for a number 1 seed, you're generally not going to melt down.
Yeah.
Obviously Auburn.
Yeah.
Obviously Duke. And what, Houston?
Maybe.
No.
Because see, Florida's number 2 right now.
No. I'm talking about 1 seeds in the tourney.
Right.
Because Auburn, Alabama, Duke, and who was the 4th?
I
Like
don't.
the last projections.
I don't recall. I didn't see it.
But the reality is, if we win out, Auburn's not going anywhere just because they lost to us.
No.
Because they will have lost to us on the road.
Right, and then that would still position them well for a 1 seed. Nobody's going to look at their loss there and be like, "Oh, jump off the wagon." No, they just took down number 2 Alabama on the road in convincing fashion. Like no one's looking at them. Nobody's looking at them like, "Oh my God."
They're like, you can't drop them off they would literally have to lose every game for the rest of the season and also have at least 2 or 3 of those be complete blowouts.
Yeah.
It's just so let's see here. Oh yeah, Florida's one of the 1 seeds. So Auburn, Florida, Bama, and Duke. So if you win out, you knock one of the SEC teams out.
Yeah, I mean you would in that sense, yeah, because at that
with another SEC team. This league is so stupid.
it is stupid. It is stupid, and leave it to this season.
That's right. Houston was on the two line. That's right. That's right.
They're on the 2 line at the moment.
Well, yeah. So Houston, Tennessee, us, and Iowa State are the 2 lines.
Yeah. They could do
It's
some.
so crazy to be this invested in college basketball this late in the season.
Yeah, it is a novel thought for us at this point, and it's kind of fun.
I care for it.
Yeah, so I enjoy it.
But anyways, Tennessee, but we'll just 50-meter target. I like the way we match up with Tennessee. There's a lot of BAS, and I get it.
There always is after a loss. There always is.
Yeah, well, I mean, with basketball, there's BAS after every possession.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I like the matchup. I love that it's at home, and if Buzz prefers that, he prefers that because probably the team prefers that. And if the team likes early tip-offs, then let's go. Let's beat them, and y'all can all blow off all the exam week steam you ever wanted to. Just get to read, wear black.
Get to read, wear black, and then as soon as you're done with the game, hop on over to Olson and go enjoy another round of baseball at that point. The weather should be a lot better this weekend, so get out there and enjoy yourself.
It'll be close.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be close.
Be close. Yes, sir. Apologies, we had a quick little break, and we are back and rocking and rolling. Roy's been busy, man.
Yeah. Look, There's no such thing as clocking in and clocking out in my industry. So,
Right.
uh, and when somebody calls on what we'll call a very lucrative project that I'm working on,
Mhm.
we can pause this. I can't pause that.
I mean, that's absolutely fair, and that's what we're here with. This is for fun. That's why we're having fun.
Yes.
Speaking of fun, let's look at softball and how our last little tournament went.
Dude, we have lost one game. We got walked off by a top 10 team and we dropped the spot. This is why rankings are stupid. We got walked off against one of the top 10 teams in the nation and we dropped from 5 to 6. All of you are dumb and you should stop all of your activities if you were in charge of the polls.
One loss.
One freaking loss. One freaking loss to number 10 Oklahoma State, who has turned into a perennial postseason like team.
Yep.
So heated about that. And I
It's
think
like
that
you've lost one game by 1 point, and they dropped you in the polls. But
well, and you had to turn around that same day and play a good Virginia squad, and you were able to beat them coming off getting walked off. Like, what do you want from us? What do you want from me?
uh, obviously, we want sweeps, man. That's all we
Ugh.
want.
Yeah, yeah, because you're gonna sweep the Shriners, classic or invitation, whatever it's called. But whatever, preseason rankings don't matter. And when you think about it, from 5 to 6 still means you're gonna go to Oklahoma City, kind of thing, right? That's what they're expecting. Uh, I thought there was a lot of positive things out of Clearwater. Mac Barbara actually kind of had a rough weekend.
Mhm.
Like she's must see TV when she gets to the plate, but she's kind of had a rough weekend. But one thing I didn't pick up on, or maybe they hadn't touched on it in the previous weekend here in Aggieland. After every at bat, before she does anything, she goes directly to her little journal and she journals the at bat. And so, like, you talking about being a student of the game, right?
Mhm.
Um, but she didn't have a great weekend. But Coco and KK DeMint and Kramer Eschte, like, just uh, they're just so good and they're just so fun. Like, seriously, it's like right now it's like watching baseball. I understand they're not the number one team in the country, but I think there were some answers in Clearwater for us as far
Yeah.
as the circle after Emily Kennedy.
Yeah.
I think there were some answers because Tricia Ford was able to rotate players and get some people some meaningful experience in meaningful games, and especially some younger kids, get them out there, and they performed. And the lights weren't too big because the Clearwater Invitational, if you don't know it, like it's a kind of a big deal. Like it's a legit big deal tournament every year. Um, and God bless the softball team. They get to go back to Florida this weekend for the weather. So
Yeah.
they're in the Joanne Graff Classic. Kind of another one of those round robins, not quite as big as Clearwater. Clearwater is huge, like it's a ridiculous one.
Mhm.
But I spoke wrong last week. This is the week we get Florida State.
Right.
So this is kind of the big weekend because we get two games with Florida State,
Yep.
and it's a doubleheader.
Exactly. It's going and you have double headers both on Friday and Saturday. Granted, not as worried as with what's going on Friday, of course,
Right.
but
Yeah, you should go 2-0 against Florida A&M.
you should.
But this is a little bit unlike Clearwater. So this is a little bit more like the Aggie Classic and the Aggie Invitational. Only a handful of teams, right? Like four
Right.
or five at most. Maybe 3, 4 teams. And so, but you get a doubleheader in Florida with number 8 Florida State, and I am absolutely psyched about it.
I'm pumped. It's going to be a top level matchup, and this is postseason feel, right? Like
Yes.
that's the reason why we love these tournaments, right? The whole reason you play them is because it's a good opportunity for you to get into those situations where you may, in all likelihood, be in a foreign environment that is outside of your wheelhouse, and you're going to end up playing tough teams like Florida State, Oklahoma State, Virginia, whoever else. I mean, you have to play those teams. You need to do well against them at this point in the year just to build up your confidence to understand, all right, this is what the end goal is going to end up looking like once we get down the road. And I'm
This is
excited
what
for
it's going to take to get there.
yeah, this is what it's going to take. And so when you have to go on the road to Florida State, yeah, you take full advantage of that. And on top of that, you got 2 games. So if you even split those, that's a win for you because you're on the road in Florida. Like this is their home environment. So by all
Well, and
means.
You talked about like this is why you do it, right? To prepare you for the postseason. This is why even baseball has these invitationals,
Yep.
in the juice box and up in wherever the ballpark's called up there now.
Exactly
Um,
where A&M's going next week. Yeah, down at the juice box.
but it's funny you say that because think about playing Oklahoma State, then having to turn right around and play Virginia. That's got a very regional feel to it, doesn't it?
It does. And that's
You got
why
a
I
good
love it.
team, you got a bad team, or not bad team. You got a really good team, and then you have a pretty good team that you're gonna have to beat after losing to that really good team.
Right.
Now, this weekend has the feel of either a super or even Oklahoma City in the sense you're going to have to play Florida State twice today, twice
Right.
in one day. And so the amount of experience they're going to get out of this, you absolutely nailed it. It like that's why they do these. These aren't so they can travel the East Coast and the West Coast and have fun, play some teams. She's got them playing, and it wasn't any different, before. The pre pre conference tourneys and invitationals we played in, you know, they they made sure they were in tournaments with good teams.
Right.
You know, and this is what you see, and so like I love, I absolutely love that we get a doubleheader with Florida State. Like I will just be absolutely parked on the couch watching softball for like straight up 4 hours. Um,
That'll
and
work.
I'll have baseball and softball, basketball will be done. Premier leagues, that's way too late for Premier League unless they want to play at
Yeah.
1 in the morning.
Right.
Um, not to mention I've got a showing on Saturday morning, and hopefully it doesn't sleet so I don't die on my way to the showing.
You should be
Um,
okay. Fingers
and
crossed.
well, you're the weather guy, so
We'll
um,
see. Anything's possible.
maybe I'll walk, but it's Southern Point, so I better start early.
Yes.
Like you said, this is just a fantastic opportunity. On the backside on Sunday, you'll play Southeastern Louisiana, which again, hopefully it's not a letdown. Though. Again, what's
Yeah.
funny about that game? So, you look at us playing Florida A&M tomorrow. We get a doubleheader against Florida A&M, right?
Yep.
Uh, you absolutely expect to sweep there to pick up both of those,
Yeah.
and quite frankly, you kind of expect to run rule at least one of them
You should. Yes.
because much like their counterparts across the street at Olson, there's some offense at Davis.
There is a lot of offense, and you've seen it in these matchups. Granted, a lot of it has come in the later innings at times, but even so,
They're getting
as
better.
long as you're creating offense at some point in the game, who's going to complain about that?
Well, and that was one thing with Oklahoma State and Virginia was you're playing good teams. So if the offense doesn't come early, that's okay. If the offense doesn't come early in two straight games against Florida A&M, you're going to be annoyed, right? If
Right.
it still shows up, you're fine with it, but you're still going to be like, "Ah, what are we doing?" It's like a cat playing with its food kind of thing. No offense to Florida A&M, but there's not a number next to your name. You're not a top 25 team. And I
No.
get that you're in Florida, so it should be nice and great and blah blah blah. But we were just in Florida.
Yeah.
But what'll be interesting to me is if you split it with Florida State, or if Lord willing, we beat Florida State twice,
Right.
which means probably drop one in the rankings. But if you're able to like literally doubleheader sweep Florida State, which I'm not saying that's going to happen. I would be thrilled with a split with Florida State. I think that's the perfect scenario.
Exactly.
Get beat up a little bit by a top 10 team, go back and beat them up, or vice versa. You
Either way.
know, um, that Sunday game against Southeastern Louisiana, oddly enough, is not a game that anybody cares about. To me, I do.
Sure.
Because to me, it's coming off of a day you had a doubleheader with the number 8 team in the nation in their state, not their ballpark, but their state, right? This isn't hosted in Tallahassee, is it?
That's a good question. I'm not sure where it is. We can
I
find
don't know.
out.
The Joanne Graff thing is, oh yeah, it is Tallahassee.
Yeah,
So you're
kind
going to be
of the color
you're going
scheme.
to be at Florida State.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a hostile crowd all day Saturday, or excuse me, all day Saturday.
Hmm.
Because tomorrow nobody's going to care. And quite frankly, Aggies travel well, especially when it doesn't matter what sport you are. If you're winning, Aggies travel, right?
They do. Yeah, they do.
I'm willing to bet there are a fighting Texas Aggie shit ton of like Ags in Florida
Yeah.
because it's a
I agree.
wonderful state to live. I love Florida. I'm a Tampa
Yeah.
St. Pete like, oh yeah, I'll beat the drum all day.
I like
Um,
Florida.
but so you have the opportunity to go and beat them on their own like home ground. So this is like the Aggie Invitational, and that's my fault for not knowing. I coming off the Clearwater, I was thinking it was just another Florida rotation,
Mhm.
but great tournament. You got two powerhouses, two cupcakes. All anybody cares about is Saturday, right?
It's big, but at the same time, you do need to prove that you can come down from that on Sunday.
Win one,
Yep,
just win one,
good one.
just win one on Saturday. Well, first of all, look, be 4 a.m. twice on Friday.
Got
Come
to.
on, but win at least one on Saturday,
Yeah.
and then make sure no matter win, lose, draw, if Florida State beats you twice, you've got to beat Southeastern Louisiana.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I agree with you there.
yeah,
So yeah,
you know us, man. We're super hype about softball.
so we're pumped for softball. Very excited to see what else is going to be going on at that diamond. Excited to see their growth.
Other
Um,
than
Flipping to the other diamond, we do have baseball. We just came off opening weekend with Elon, with two games that were cut off due to, well, one due to time, the other one due to run rule. Um, I would be curious about your opening weekend thoughts. What did you think as far as the effort? What did you see?
uh, great to see Jace bomb away opening weekend. You know, it's
Yeah.
one of those where if he doesn't get one opening weekend, it's not my doubt. It might be his.
Mhm.
He's like, why didn't I get a homer against Elon? What the hell, right? Um, but he has all confidence in the world, and he should. He's going to be the number one draft pick out of college. Loved the offense. Prager is Prager,
Yeah, it looked outstanding.
like we said he was gonna be, and he just will continue to be. Um, Loved Terrence Keel out in right field.
TK3, man. Ooh,
And not just like the part where he parked it up against the wall because I
that was fun.
a baseball purist may hate that. I thought it was fantastic.
I liked it. Yeah.
But that dude covers ground like nobody I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's outstanding, and I'm really, really glad. Honestly, that was the one thing a lot of people were really worried about Caden Sorrell, and I'm like, keep an eye on TK3. This kid's coming in, and I love the fact. My favorite quote from him was somebody asked me if I had nerves, and I said I haven't had nerves since I've been on campus. It's like
Yeah.
this, yeah, this place is home. These people make me feel like home. And playing in that ballpark is home. And so the fact that he just slotted straight into that role and not only comes in and
Yeah.
feels great, I mean, the dude hit.
Oh yeah, no, he won weekly honors. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
he hit the ball. It's like he is like one of the truest five tool players. Well, probably four. I don't know about his power yet. We'll
sure.
find out.
We'll see.
But he spots the ball, he hits the ball, he runs, he plays defense, he throws. Uh, so I thought that was probably the highlight of the weekend, quite frankly. Even though Jace hit three bombs, I
Yeah.
think Caden Sorrell being out and us not having to worry is probably the biggest highlight of the weekend to me.
Yeah, well, anytime you can have a guy who can fill in that role and be comparable, that is such a killer asset to have on a team. And that's the beauty of this ball club. You got to think that there are some hidden gems that are hanging out just below the surface that give them that opportunity to actually come out and do something. That's why I'm really kind of bummed we lost out on this McNeese game, because it's so key in these early season games to get those guys experience. But that being said, you still have Cal Poly coming up this weekend. Should be an interesting little run. Obviously, A&M favored to win that series, but you still have the opportunity to one set your lineup. But if things are comfortable, let's experiment a little bit.
Well, and now that we know that we're going to be able to get in the Friday game, I think is really big. Look, it's going to suck and it's going to be miserable. And
Yeah,
baseball in the cold is like playing golf in the cold. You don't hitting the ball is miserable. That's all there is to it.
and
And then everything else that's involved in baseball is just like any other outdoor sport. When it's in the cold, it just sucks. All
it
right.
does.
Like that's all there is to it. Outside of maybe like the Winter Classic in the NHL, because they're used to being over ice, they might be the only ones impervious to the cold. But it's like it's brutal. It sucks to play. So it's one of those where you hope that the weather doesn't dictate some weird kind of game or whatever.
But
Um,
if there are positives to it, this is Cal Poly we're talking about. I don't think they're necessarily ready for this cold either.
Yeah, these are not the Titans of Cal State Fullerton.
New
Different Cal.
different Cal. One thing I did want to say, and I didn't get a chance to mention it before, but it was something that really caught me that I thought was funny. So if you go in, yeah, a lot of the comments, right, typical, right, A&M's preseason ranked number one, and yeah, you go win the first game against Elon, 4-2, and we did see some issues with giving up some runs here and there, right, over the course of the next couple of games. But I think the thing that really shocked me, number one, I want to say a quick shout out to Justin Mitrovic. Holy crap, Elon's starting pitcher. That dude put on a show. I was very impressed with what he actually brought to the
That's
table.
always fun to see with those
Yeah.
non-conference too. Like you'll see one or two coming in around. Like what is it? Bergevin? I mean, didn't he play here when he was with Penn? Is it
May,
Bergevin?
well, that was Wyatt, right? Yeah.
No, I'm
Wyatt.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's White Hensler.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wyatt.
like he literally played here.
Yeah, he came here from Penn
And
after
so
beating us here.
yeah,
You know,
was
that's it.
fantastic.
But the thing is, he understood what A&M brought to the table. He was like, okay, this is cool, and there's potential here, which is
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. Speaking of which, big shout out to the crowd of Olson. Let's just talk about this for a minute. ESPN was all over our junk this weekend, focusing in on the crowd, focusing in on the energy of the crowd. I mean, there was a TikTok that popped off that was in dealing with the pitcher from Elon on, I guess it was Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember which day he was pitching, but last name Mustard. And they just started yelling other condiments out, including ranch and whatnot. And that's when Caden Kent hit the grand slam. So it was really funny to have them focusing on the crowd only for it to turn around and be a grand slam. The players see this, and everybody else is seeing this. They understand what A&M brings to the table in terms of raw energy in a crowd, in a fan base. I
Well,
love that.
you say ESPN was all over it. Major League Baseball's official account sent stuff out
They
about
did.
baseball,
Well, they were
talking about
like, they even
uh,
posted college baseball crowds greater than, greater than, greater than. It's like they understand that the
yeah, well,
college
like pro crowds suck.
pro crowds have sucked for years. There are very few instances that have been actually kind of neat. For example, you send it back several years. Cincinnati was playing Pittsburgh in a wild card round. That tells you something because that was a while ago. But the Pittsburgh crowd started doing what we would do at Olson, start chanting the pitcher's name. And what happened? When you have 30, 40,000 people doing it, it has an effect on that pitcher. And
Yeah, yeah, but I'm talking about across the sport, and we're gonna probably go down the rabbit hole here.
I'm about to say, but yeah, you're not wrong. The major league crowd energy does not match the college game. It just doesn't. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that one, the crowds are smaller, it's more niche. And we love that. It's a big part of it.
Sucks in Major League Baseball, sucks in the NBA, sucks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Major League Soccer pretty much still kind of sucks.
Hmm.
Women's soccer still kind of sucks, like the crowds, not the sports.
Yeah, the
Uh,
crowd for sure.
and then you go and you're like, Eastern European volleyball, they have flares.
Yeah,
Like Premier League, they care the whole match. And when they're losing, they still care.
of course they care.
So it's funny to me because like Americans, I'll tell you right now, any American sport, the most passionate fan in that sport is one of the most passionate fans in any country in any sport in the world.
True.
That same fan can't handle adversity.
No, we say
It's
that.
and it's bred because we're not necessarily like we don't have enough minor leagues and all these drop downs to where like the town I lived in had a tiny little club and I'll always be blah 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 blah.
Right.
But to me, it's not the sport, it's not the fan, it's the show that the owners have begun putting on in these sports. It
Hmm.
makes it so easy, and the environment that they've fostered to just be a cash cow, it makes it easy to not care.
Right.
Like, I mean, yay when you score, but outside of that, I'm just going to sit here and eat a hot dog like for $13 and go get a $27 beer and wonder what the shit I'm doing. Or like paid $30 for parking, and I paid $45, for this ticket that I happened to get last minute. Otherwise, it would have been $145.
Yeah.
Whereas, and that's where you see college sports as a whole, obviously, are. But that's what's frustrating to me is because you and I are Premier League guys.
Yeah.
You're talking about the top of the top. Premier League is the best league of football in the world. Bundesliga and La Liga can compete from time to time, but the reality is the best players in the world play in the Premier League until they start getting older. And those fans are insane, which is also why I hate London Stadium, but we're not even going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I think the big thing to keep in mind when it does come to these fans is when you do look at like a college level, right? You know, especially here in the United States, so much of college is very micro focused, right? It's regional. And I think that's where the beauty of when you look at like a Premier League club, or even if you go down to the championship and all the other levels,
Oh,
every, you
keep
know,
going down. It gets worse and well, better and better
it
as
gets
far as
better
their
and better
intensity.
because what you
Wrexham.
see, there's a lot of people, when I want to go to a sporting event, right? I want to go for an experience. You know, that's what I'm going for. I understand going to an Astros game is a lot of it can be fun, sure. You might get some, awesome plays, you might get some fun little, instances here and there. But when you go to it, it just feels stale. Like even like a larger game, like you get into the playoffs, it still feels stale at times. Whereas you could take that same energy and apply it to a college game. You move from there to Olson.
Go to Olsen, go to the dude, go to the box. Like,
Yeah, I mean, go to Oklahoma State Stadium, go to wherever. There are so many great environments
yeah,
in
yeah, the
college baseball.
paddles or in football. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
there's just
it,
so many great, unique things that takes
I think
place at the college level.
and that's where our professional sports miss it
Yeah,
because like growing up in Houston, I loved going to Oilers games, but I was a Cowboys fan.
right.
Like, imagine growing up in East London and telling your father that you want to follow Tottenham. You literally would have cut out of the will.
Yeah, I mean, well, especially because when you are born somewhere, there is an actual like level of loyalty to it. Because you are absolutely locked into that region. You're locked into that club. I mean, you grew up because your father was taking you to West Ham matches. You're going to be a
Yeah,
West Ham fan until the day you die. As far as you're concerned, Millwall can go kick rocks every day of their lives. As far as you're concerned, any of the other major clubs in London can go kick rocks every day of their lives
it's just
because
like
you
being an
are
Aggie.
because you're a hammer. Exactly.
Just
You're
like
a
being an
hammer.
Aggie.
You're an Aggie. Right. You,
Yeah,
you are what
it
you are.
and it's interesting. Whereas European, it's truly regional and not just regional, like micro regional, like parts of London,
Yeah.
micro regional,
I
like
mean, yeah. Like
Everton and Liverpool. Like you can a driver in a 2 iron, you can get from one to the next. Well, until they build a new one.
until
Can't
they
believe
build it.
you're not Goodison. What a shame.
I
Um,
know it sucks.
but it's different obviously at the college level because you can be from San Diego but you kind of be an Aggie and you're an Aggie for life. Now we are a little different. I get that.
We are
uh,
different.
but like your college allegiance is because it's blood sweat and tears. It literally because a lot of people have to take accounting tests, so that's where the tears are.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
but but it's just one of those things where you relate with it even in a shorter period of time. It's a lot like, I grew up an East Ender. I'm a West Ham guy, right? Like
Right.
I grew up in North London. So it's just, it, you know, it's interesting to see it. And that's why I personally, I think the environments of professional sports just in this country suck.
They're not great.
Like I hate to say it, but it's true. And I think a lot of it has come down to like just outpricing the average fan that's probably actually at like an avid raging follower,
Yeah.
pricing them out and sticking people who look at a game as something to be at so they can let people know that they're at kind of thing. Like it's a social status thing to be able to go to a Lakers game,
Yeah.
whereas there's probably 500,000 diehard Lakers fans in the state of California alone that would like give you one of their pinkies to go sit courtside one time in their entire life.
Or the hell, they may have never even been to a game, Like that's an unfortunate reality, right? There's a lot of people I mean, you take a great example of this. I hate to pull this from Rudy, but I will. Let's look at Rudy and his, whenever he brought his father to the game for the first time. That was the first time he'd ever seen Notre Dame live, and that was a life-changing experience for him. Sometimes that's just what it is. I mean, when I came to A&M, that first football game was against Texas in '09. We lost it, sure. But that was number two Texas. It was a hard-fought game. I loved the spirit and the energy of the crowd, and that's what sold me on A&M long term. I loved how passionate these people were, not just for the sport, but also just into the core values of what the school stands for. And that's the main driving force as to why I became an Aggie. So,
Well, but everybody will find their reason to identify with
yeah,
their team, right? And
exactly.
it's interesting with those who didn't go to school but identify with a school are, to me, more passionate than I'm a Ravens fan because I grew up in Baltimore.
Right. You
You think
have,
anybody that's on the Ravens like went to your public schools, had to deal with the crime in Baltimore, like went to the Inner Harbor? They don't give a shit. They have zero loyalty. But even in today's world of the transfer portal and NIL, I think there's still loyalty. And to me, teams like our men's basketball team prove that loyalty. And
it
teams like our baseball team prove that. And I get it. There's still the number.
100%.
These kids are getting paid, but Jace could have gone anywhere. Gavin could have gone anywhere. And we talk about who we brought back in these main pieces because of NIL. The most important person that we kept out of the portal, or at least snatched back from the portal, is our head coach.
Yeah, exactly. And you could, and I love the fact that you had early and he was in his pictures for Texas, and you could just tell. You could just
Dude, he
tell.
looked like a hostage.
He did look like a hostage. I'm glad we were able to break him out. So reeling it back for one quick second, I went to go look at Cal Poly just to give ourselves a little flavor test for the
We're
weekend.
terrible at reeling things back. This is gonna be interesting.
So, looking at this real quick, UCLA was their first series on the road at UCLA, Cal Poly. They lose 2-3, then proceed to lose 18-2 and 16-0.
Did you see
To
LA any
UCLA.
good?
They're not ranked, I'll tell you that much. So that kind of gives you
I
maybe.
like our chances this weekend.
I think I like our chances this weekend. Yeah, they turn around, beat LMU 9-1, but I mean, here's the deal: you're hitting the road. And I love the fact that I just pulled up Cal Poly's schedule and there's that little number one next to our logo. It's kind of nice. Not used to seeing that, so that was kind of cool. A&M, yep, you got three straight. And the Saturday game kicking off should be a good time. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good weekend. I really do. Get very curious to see how we handle ourselves with basketball. But like I said, if you're in town, rock and roll some black, go out to basketball, end up at baseball, go watch some softball after that, or watch it in or amongst all of that, because guess what? There's plenty to do.
Yeah, also don't care what you're wearing as long as you're there.
Yeah, just show up, have a good time. And
I
that's
will say,
yeah.
because I can never pass up a chance to be a petty little shit. Really appreciative of Louisville baseball.
Yeah, I think if there's anything we can take away from the weekend, I'm obviously not analyzing Texas baseball. Their pitching, looked pretty good, but certainly didn't look it so in that Louisville game down the stretch. Oh well.
Like, Ole Miss is a program, and they thumped them. Oklahoma State kind of thumped them, but you know what? It's just the joy of the first one out of the gate
Right.
going straight into the shitter.
There
Texas
was
baseball might end up being really good this year. You want to know why? Because Texas baseball is kind of always good.
well, Texas baseball is good, and obviously we'll analyze them a lot closer once we're getting into the season and
For now, all I know is they started off 0-1.
yep, and that
They
is
might be two. They might be 2-1 right now, but I don't give a shit.
right. It's like, like I said, just
They had to
happy.
cancel. They had to cancel their midweek as well.
Yep. So moving on into our weekends here. Should be a good time. Like I said, get out to the ballpark, go enjoy some baseball this weekend.
Yeah, if you can't get out and about, turn it on. It's either on TV or it's on the Ultra on the SEC network on ESPN. So
You'll find it.
but
You'll find it.
again, I've said it a million times. That has done worlds for the sport of softball.
Well, it's done so much for softball. It's done so much for
And
baseball.
baseball.
I
Yeah,
love it.
and baseball, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really fun, exciting Saturday. It's all kind of packed into Saturday because baseball's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's the same opponent, like
Yeah.
it's an opponent we should absolutely just like demolish to the point where, hopefully you get to watch at least on TV. You get to watch
Yeah.
softball from the comfort of your couch because
Right.
they dumped Cal Poly so hard that everybody went home early.
Yeah.
Um, that's kind of the hope. Obviously looking forward to the basketball game with Tennessee.
Hmm.
But yeah, Saturday's kind of everything when it comes
Yeah.
down to it. I mean, obviously Friday and Sunday, baseball and softball are still going at it, but Saturday, you got basketball, you got baseball, both on campus. You got softball doubleheader, Florida State.
Yeah.
Saturday's
Loaded.
looted. So
Loaded.
looking forward to it. Looking forward to, I think, moderately, slightly warmer temperatures, at
Mm.
least not 20 or 17 or whatever the crap it's been.
It should
But
start warming up. Like the good warm up trends kind of looking early into next week. So like Sunday, looking
so
like
that's second fall spring.
right, potentially second fall spring. We'll see if there's another Arctic blast after that. But as it stands right now, we're kind of at the coldest we're going to be for a minute, and then fortunately, should be on a warming trend going into next week. In fact, next Tuesday, very excited for that because got somebody coming into town. Should be a lot of fun, but also high that day is currently showing about 72, low 49. It'll get chilly at night, sure, but should be a much nicer day game versus what this McNeese game would have been.
Yeah, a little bit, huh?
So we'll take it for what it's worth. It is exciting times in Aggieland, man. Like I said, there's plenty to look forward to going forward, regardless of basketball losses, regardless of games getting canceled. Man, I'm excited. It's good times.
What do they always say in the Premier League? Once Christmas comes and goes, the games start coming thick and fast.
They do, and they
Like
are.
it is basketball, baseball, softball. If you follow them closely, tennis is pounding away.
Track
Golf
and
is
field.
playing like it's literally everything. And into the spring sports, we're pretty good.
We're not bad. I like what we're seeing right now. I'm excited.
And,
I know you're excited.
golf and tennis both look good too. It's like it's across the board.
Yeah.
So
Not a bad time to be an Aggie.
no, well, it's never a bad time to be an Aggie, but it sure does help sometimes when the sports ball teams are doing a little
Right.
bit more goal score units.
Every day is a great day to be an Aggie, but
That's a fact, Jack.
that is a fact, Jack. We love it.
Yeah.
So,
Have I ever said that before? Like, you meet somebody, they're like, and they figure out you're an Aggie. They're like, oh man, I'm sorry, I'm a Longhorn. I'm like, that's weird. I've never apologized for being an Aggie.
right, never once.
They're like, I'm sorry, I'm a Longhorn. I'm like,
No, I
what?
think I think my favorite one I've ever had is like whenever we go up to Lubbock and like somebody asks me where I went to school, I'll be like, yeah, I went to A&M. They'll be like, ooh. And I'm like, why do y'all care? I mean, you're literally our cousins at this point.
Bro, you and I are literally standing in what should pretty much be Iraq. So just chill.
Well, and let's face it. There's a lot more similarities between us and Tech than they care to admit.
I
Whether
have
they
more similarities with a rock than I do a sip.
exactly. So anyhow, yeah, that was good chat today. We got a lot of good stuff in. No questions this week. That's okay. If you do want to fire in
Well,
some questions for us.
yeah, we had a lot of softball and baseball to get into. So,
Yeah. So,
and Premier League is just kind of humming along. We're not going to get into that.
yeah.
So, but yeah, on my end, just busy day today, which is nice.
Mhm.
I've got some really big stuff in the pipeline, so it's weird because I'm not going to see a lot of production for a long time, and then all of a sudden it's kind of all going to drop.
Mhm.
Um, but excited for a handful of projects that we got going on over at Bach Realty Group. Yeah, yeah, just big things afoot, if you will.
Yeah.
Like
Big,
big.
big.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
not playing around big, big. Um,
yeah. Not like selling a home and traditions big. We'll call it exponentially larger.
so I will say this, kind of looking ahead at our schedule, talking about some positive things I'm loving. So we have just picked up a couple of cool shows that fill me with a lot of joy. Uh, obviously mentioned Billy Bob's previously. We're pumped for that. And then Lukenbach coming up on the 21st. We have a show in the middle of that we just picked up that I'm very, very excited for. We are headlining out at House Pasture in Concan, Texas.
Yeah,
Love.
I have played golf at the golf club in Concan.
I have too. And it's a fun course. I like it a
Yeah,
lot.
I used to know the owner. So,
Yeah. The nice part is, so we're playing that, that Friday the 14th. We're off that Saturday currently. So our plan is to just hang out. William Clark Green's playing that night.
no, nice.
So our plan is to go maybe, yeah, we'll play Friday, have a good time, go
Go be
party with,
spectators.
go do all that. Then Saturday, go play some golf during the day, and then go watch Will.
Yeah, go sit your butt in the Frio for a couple minutes.
Maybe, like I said, it'll all depend on how the temperature is. I mean, the Frio is always cold, right? But with this kind of
Hence
being
the
an early,
name.
it's an early March, it might be a little extra cold. Well, see, that's what happened last time. So, quick little story before we wrap up here. We were out at House Pasture last year, same weekend, doing the kind of spring break kickoff deal, and it just so happened to be us and Pat Green playing that particular weekend. But we decided to run up to Lakey, where Carson's parents have a spot up there, so we were hanging out in Lakey. And let me tell you, we dipped into the water that day. Whoa. It was I've been in the Frio many times. That was the absolute coldest I'd ever been in the Frio. That was rigid.
See, it's like I got to do y'all's marketing for you. You
Mm,
all need to go grab some waders, grab your
yeah,
cowboy hats, no shirt, and just go stand in like maybe ankle deep weather in the Frio or
yeah,
ankle deep level water in the Frio and just drink beer in your cowboy hats. There's your
right.
next.
Yeah, the next one after the first one that's coming here before too long. So we're still trying to secure the freaking
I'm,
time to get Comancheria locked in, but
hey man, I'm 300-meter target for you guys. I'm already thinking out your next success.
well, we appreciate that, brother. In the meantime, be sure to follow us on our socials. That's gonna be
Yes,
Roy May 15 on X, Junior
I
on
do
X.
have some. I do have some fun stuff coming up on social, recreating some very classic memes
Nice.
with a lot of realtor snark. I'm going to be a real jerk, quite frankly.
Have fun with it.
I think I've mostly got it cleared from
Yeah.
the tower. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, just going to start having some fun with social. So yeah, just kind of keep up with it.
Yep. Meanwhile, Rob the Slapper on both. On Instagram, been posting a lot of videos lately, namely just playing some classic bass lines, just having some fun, just wanting to learn and improve my skill. So
Yeah,
if you
those
want
are
to go,
fun.
yeah, if you want to go check those out, it's a good time. I do cover a lot of range on those genres, so lots of classic rock right now. But go check it out. It's a lot
So
of fun.
flood his inbox with suggestions.
Yeah, I mean honestly, if you want to hear certain bass lines, by all means, let me know. I will tell you right now, if you're wanting Rush, you've come to the wrong place.
That's
It takes a lot of work. And
that's literally everyone. Don't feel bad.
God, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love him, but he's so good. But in the meantime, I am Rob White. This is Roy May. We are the Red Ass Podcast. Take care. Beat the hell out of Tennessee. Beat the hell out of Cal Poly. Gig 'em. We'll see y'all soon.
Yeah, beat the hell out of Florida State.
Beat the hell out of Florida State.
Let's go.